Welcome back to the Jacob Wayne Show, and today we're doing something a tad bit old school, but kind of new in a way as well. I realized that sometimes when we would do the music section with Kelin lately, sometimes Kelin and I are busy and we don't get a lot of listening done of new releases and probably just stuff in general. I imagine as a listener, you don't want us talking about listening to the stuff you know we listen to a lot. So, what I was thinking is that we'll do a monthly episode that's all music. Won't have any movie content. It's just all the music going over stuff from the month before. So, we're recording this in October. On the 3rd, we're going to go over September. What we were listening to, any musicians that passed away, new releases, so on and so forth. But before we get into that, how you been, Kelin?
Been pretty good. It was a busy month. September kind of flew by.
What have you been up to?
Well, recently it's a lot of solo gigs, like playing weddings. There's been much wedding playing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's
Was
been
that
fun though.
musical August or was that September? I forget.
I was July.
Oh, okay, shit.
Yeah, that was that whole month. So yeah, it's just been flying by.
Yeah, I guess it was the musical, then you came out for a visit.
Yep.
Cool. So you just been doing weddings and teaching and doing your usual gigging? Who you been gigging with the most these days?
Oh, been the Highline Drifters is really the band that's been doing the most stuff. We
Yeah.
kept pretty busy this summer, but we kind of hibernate over the winter. So,
Cool, cool.
yeah.
I'll get into something in a minute here that you're involved in, but yeah, on my end, we got 2 shows coming up in October for Gamma Pa. Unfortunately, had to turn down a gig in Wyoming. That would have been our first gig up there. I was looking forward to it, but we're
Oh
gonna do
yeah.
that and kind of take it easy in November and December. December probably sort of take it off, other than like band practices and whatnot. But
Mm-hmm.
November, yeah, maybe do something if something pops up that we can do. But get a little bit of drumming done on some of our older songs, like replace the program drums with human drumming. That's kind of our little project when it gets cold.
Nice.
Um, but with that, I guess we should mention that while you were in town, I think we talked about this on the podcast, but I'll reiterate. You and Corey were visiting for around my birthday time. Corey was drumming for Gamma Pa a bit, and I saw it as a good opportunity for us to finally record our song Charlie for our band Fakoshka. And so that's going to be coming out pretty soon here. We're just kind of going through the mix and mastering stage and playing it through all the different speakers and like, oh, that kick's a bit too loud through this speaker. Let me try to refine it, blah, blah, blah. So I think I
Yep.
sent you 3 different ones last night for you to scrutinize and pick your favorite. But we're close. I want to upload either today or tomorrow. And I would say it might be one of our best songs.
Indeed. It's a jam.
I think it's
Funky little tune.
yeah, it's a tad bit more meaningful than some of our other Koshka stuff. Like, it all had meaning, but you get songs like Adverb Moose and Billy Mitchell, they're a little more silly, whereas this one's about kind of like giving a good send off or like a last hurrah celebratory song for those that have passed away. And yeah, we originally conceived it, and I'll type this up, I suppose, but we originally conceived it. I was like writing it about Charlie Murphy when he passed away. It kind
Oh,
of
yeah.
bummed me out, and so I also like the idea of just the name Charlie. It reminded me of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. There's that one song in the movie. It's like, cheer up, Charlie. Like
Oh,
that whole thing.
yeah.
And I was like, I don't know. It just has a nice ring to it. And then, yeah, as the years went on, we'd play it in the practice room or whatever, and we'd lose more influential people and just close people in our lives as well. And it was like, oh, okay, this song is about more than just Charlie Murphy. It doesn't have to be silly. I think Koshka always has a bit of tongue in cheekness to it, but yeah, it's I'm
Indeed.
excited for people to hear it. A lot of people that I've shown it to can tell that you play banjo by listening to your guitar.
Huh, nice.
They're just like, he's like, yeah, he plays banjo, right? He's kind of has that tone in the finger picking, and so it's like I don't know. Whenever we get around to more Koshka stuff in the future, I was kind of thinking about it. I was like, should probably lean into that funk grass thing, which I think attaches to the jazzist thing pretty good.
Yeah, for sure.
I think Gamma Pa kind of is in that nice little grungy kind of area. It's like more of the grunge alternative 90s rock kind of stuff. And it's like, all right, Koshka, we could kind of throw in some heavier, funky elements, but it's like kind of mess more with that, yeah, traditional American music stuff like Zydeco and grass and
Yeah,
blues and all that.
indeed.
With that, anything else you wanted to bring up or chit chat about before we get into the nitty gritty?
Well, I will say, I guess, on the same front as the music news, while I was mentioning Highline Drifters,
Yeah,
might as well mention the news. Our second album is still coming out. We're almost
yeah.
done with that. But our mandolin player is actually moving away. So
Oh,
we're going to be going down to a four-piece. And we're going to continue, but that is note on that, unfortunately. He's moving up to Portland, I think. So,
oh, that
yeah.
hellscape.
Indeed. The liberal hellscape that
You
is
know
Portland.
how everybody like nobody can survive up there in the Pacific Northwest. It's all fire and brimstone
Yeah.
and
Don't go
drugs.
there.
Yeah, stop going there. No, I. It's interesting because I definitely miss aspects of Seattle, but I kind of don't miss it that much.
Yeah.
And I think that's more like the city element of it all. Like I like to go hang out there, but I think over the years I've realized with being a bit more introverted is I never fully took advantage of Seattle. Like I spent so much time just like I'd rather go home and paint and all that. So I think like some people like to go on backpacking trips and camping, which I'm also realizing I'm not that into.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, like go to the city for the weekend and then come back. Like maybe not even the weekend, like once a month. Just kind of get it out of my system and kind of do some urban hiking in a
Yeah.
way.
Feel it.
But
Yeah.
but that being said, um, I'm pretty adamant about trying to make Fort Collins a permanent spot or Colorado. I've really enjoyed my time here, like even more than I anticipated. And I don't know though. There is a version where, say, Gamma Pa hits a fork in the road, or Shockey just starts having a bunch of babies and I can't focus. Like I'll, yeah, I could live up in the Pacific Northwest again. I think I just live in a smaller town, maybe closer
Yeah.
to the ocean.
Indeed.
But yeah. Anyway, best of luck to him up in Portland. Does he have any projects going on up there?
I think that is where his company is based, so he's been working just from home for the same company this whole time. So,
Oh, that sweet, sweet remote gig that I've been trying
yep.
to find.
Yeah, he's got a
Um,
good one.
yeah, man, I gotta get back into looking for those. Although now I'm like, can I get a pizza gig that's not, can pay me enough to cover bills and stuff? Like, that is what's a little weird about the job hunt right now is, there is an aspect of like, man, I'm so sick of this. I'll just take some random job. But when you're like 37 and got some adult stuff going on, you're like, oh, wait, I can't just go work at a restaurant and expect to pay rent and student loans and this and that. Like, so it's weird. Like,
Yeah,
kind of
for sure.
convoluted with the job hunt, but I won't waste time bitching about that.
Uh,
So yeah, that being said, highlight Drifters album coming out soonish, Fakoshka single coming out soonish. And I'm going to try to be a little more on top of this, so apologies to any local bands or friend bands that I maybe missed their new release. But I think I'll mention a new release kind of in this section that's more of our local bands or our buddies that are musicians before we get into more mainstream, this and that, whatever. This is a new release from the band King Crawdad, which is a band here in Fort Collins. They just released an album called Serotonin Castle. It has about 11 tracks, and I've listened to most of it. I need to fully digest it a bit more, but they're a band I would recommend to go see live. They always do a really good job. They're really good songwriters. Um, you know, it's like one of those things where if somebody comes up to me and is like, "Hey, it kind of sounds like Primus," and there is a part of me that's like, "Ah, well, there's more to it than that." But I've learned to like take that as the compliment it's meant as, and it's like just like, "Oh,
yeah.
you sound like this other guy that's talented that I know," and there's a through line, and there definitely is. So that being said, with these guys, I feel like there's a lot of Nirvana in there and a lot of PJ Harvey. And whether those are big, I know Miles the singer likes Nirvana, but it might be the similar kind of thing. Like, there's other stuff in there. It's not just Nirvana. It's like, I'm aware of that, but yeah,
Uh-huh.
good release. Sounds really good, especially for being independent and on the up and up. Sounds great. So kudos to them. I would recommend going and listening to Serotonin Castle.
Nice.
Um, I guess the one that I'm maybe like not remembering a release or the release is coming up or something, I won't even bother looking it up real quick until I figure it out next month. But also go check out Alistair Cowboy. Um, they're another great local band around here to do the same kind of comparison type thing. They got a lot of man, just had a brain fart. Cannibal Corpse vibes.
Oh
So
wow.
yeah, they do that kind of sludgy, like just like that kind of metal. I really dig.
Nice.
I always fuck up the subgenres, so I won't even attempt. Is that death metal? I feel like it isn't death
Yeah.
metal. It's more grind. I don't know.
Yeah, somewhere in grindcore and somewhere in that area. An adjacent genre, probably.
Yeah. You got any other musician buddies or local acts to shout out? Anything new coming out on their end?
No, I haven't heard anything new in the Logan scene, at
Ah,
least to my
yes.
ear.
The Logan scene.
Yeah.
Well,
What if you could call it that? They do, but
what in the butt? Well, I guess that'll give us a pretty natural transition into new releases. One new release, let me pull up the information on it real quick, was Cannibal Corpse. They put out a
Oh,
new one, I think it was last week, and it's called Chaos Horrific, as you do.
word
And of
up.
course, has songs like Summoned for Sacrifice, Fracture and Refracture, Pitchfork Impalement, Pestilential Rictus, and Drain
Wow.
You Empty.
Classic.
Yeah. Um, I think that they've been, I'm not a giant metalhead, but when certain bands do a certain thing, I really enjoy it. And Cannibal Corpse is one that I didn't listen to a bunch for a long time, and then I just kind of came around to one. Let me find that right here. It would have been, hmm, Skeletal Domain. I listened to that in 2014, which is when that came out. And the first track on that, High Velocity Impact Splatter,
Yeah.
I'm like, that song fucking rules. And to be fair, it's hard to maintain my focus for the whole album. I usually get my fix after about 6 songs, and then I'm like moving on to something else. But if you're ready for like high intensity, just blasting your ears, like the whole album will do you good. They're all good stuff, but yeah, like I feel like every release since then has been pretty fucking great. Like there's Red Before Black, Violence Unimagined, and Chaos Horrific. And yeah, they're just consistent. They're kind of like a Meshuggah band in their own way, just in terms of consistency and
Yeah.
refining what it is that they do. Napalm Death is another one that I feel that way about.
Yep. They keep it coming. Some
Dude,
brutal shit.
you ever listen to them much, or is it not as much of your thing?
I'm not too much into that particular kind of metal myself, but
That's fair.
I do like the lounge jazz version of Rancid Amputation.
Sure.
That's worth a YouTube.
Is that Richard Cheese?
No, it's actually some guy from like a New Zealand like comedy show.
Oh, okay.
So I can't remember what it's called, but if you YouTube lounge jazz Cannibal Corpse, it'll pop right up.
There you go. Um, with that, you got a new release to throw at me?
Let's see. Well, the one I'm the most excited about, you threw at me first of the
The
of the last
Kafka.
month. The no the black classical music
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's
from
pull that up.
Yusuf Days. That thing is awesome.
Why don't you
So
talk
I
about
don't
the album a bit, and I'll pull up his bio.
word I yeah. So you apparently sent it to me in a Discord or something a couple of weeks
Mm-hmm.
before or a week before it popped up on my thing. So I like saw it was like something clicked. I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, I need to listen to this. So I just randomly threw it on one night and was just gonna like throw on the tune and hang out for a little bit, but ended up just like listening to the whole album straight through.
Yeah.
Me and Kristen were just like, holy shit, this is awesome.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
cool, like it's like a drum album, and you hear some incredible drumming, but not, like you listen to there's another drum album we've talked about, the guy from Slayer, is it him?
Yeah, Dave Lombardo.
Yeah, and that was more what I would picture when I think of a drum album. And this one, like, he'll go crazy for like 2 bars, and then he'll just groove for the rest of the song so nicely. When it's
Yeah.
like that's like a different way to showcase your talents as a drummer. Yeah, and it's just got so many different vibes and just awesome playing by all musicians. It's good
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I think that that's probably, in comparison to that, is he's a jazz guy. There's at least jazz influences. And I just
Yeah.
think that if you're going to be more of a jazz drummer, it's a little easier to put together a coherent musical album. Not that Lombardo's isn't coherent, it absolutely is, but it is kind of like I think you put it. It's an ongoing drum solo, and it's
Yeah.
just this constantly propulsive thing. So it's like, say you're going out running or on a walk or whatever, it's pretty good in that regard. But
Hmm.
like with this jazz drummer and like the musicians that accompany him, it allows it for him to be more. It allows you as a listener to be more reflective
Yeah.
and like, oh yeah, and like the I need to fully consume this album. I just keep forgetting to throw it on during one of my walks because I've recently been listening to Stephen King's It as an audiobook, and that's taken over a lot of my walks lately. It's a
Oh,
perfect
gotcha.
spooky listen when you're walking around in October, by the way.
Indeed.
Um, but yeah, like even when it came up on YouTube, it was just a YouTube recommendation. So that's where I was like, oh, Kellen will like this, or at least should react to it. And that's when I sent it to you. But I
Yeah.
bounced around that night when I found it, and just wherever I landed, I was like, oh, damn, that's mixed really tastily. Like it's a very artfully done mix and like
Hmm.
evocative. Like it reminds me of some of my favorite like trip hop and like electronic tinged albums from like Air and Sneaker Pimps, but it's obviously a little more jazzy. And
Yeah.
but it's like yeah, it's just got really great texture to it. It's
Indeed.
but yeah, at the same time not overdone. It's like that fine line in between, like doing some textural things on the mix, but then not overdoing it and just like letting it be overproduced.
Yeah.
So I'll read his bio real quick. It's Yusef Deis. He's a tour de force behind the drums, widely recognized as one of the most electrifying live performers of his generation. Watching the South London raised producer, composer, and drummer perform is an exhilarating combo of technical prowess, intensity, and emotion. Yusef grew up with three brothers in a home where musical experimentation was fully embraced. He was drumming by the age of 4, tutored by Miles Davis drummer Billy Cobham, age 10, and quickly developed an ear for a wide range of musical styles, from the influence of East West African rhythms and its journey through the Caribbean and South America to the sound system heavy impact of grime and jungle. While still only in his preteens, he joined his two brothers, Ahmad and Kareem, and saxophonist Wayne Francis, aka Anansa, in
Yeah.
Afrocentric quartet United Vibrations. I'll just stop there. There's a little more, but
Yep.
yeah, it's somebody to keep an eye on. Did you ever
Yeah.
end up listening to any more of his stuff or
I
aware of
did
anything
listen.
else?
Yeah, I did listen to one of his other albums with a guy. What's his name? Muse, I want to say. A guy from London, a singer, Tom
Hmm.
Muse or something like that, and it's called Some Kind of Music, and it's
Yeah,
kind of similar to that, just with more vocals. And I
yeah,
just I just found myself loving the like the more instrumental nature of that black classical music album.
yeah,
There is the vocals on it, but they're spread out a little more, and they're always really interesting.
yeah.
There's one that sounds to me like a first wave, old school reggae song, and it's really cool.
Cool.
Oh, yeah.
With that, I'll try to find another new release. I
And
wrote
also
one
just
down. Go ahead.
just being able to like be tutored by Billy Cobham at 10 years old is just whack. That is crazy. No wonder he's so awesome.
Elaborate on that. I feel like most people don't know who that is.
Yeah, it's if you know, it's like a jazz name. He was just a great drummer on a couple of the later Miles Davis albums, the more electric stuff.
Hmm.
Um, he wrote one of my favorite songs. It's called Red Baron. That's a really awesome funk tune.
Okay.
So yeah, he's a great musician, and yeah, getting that early on to get like tutored by him. That's no wonder he's so awesome.
Yeah. Pretty special.
Yeah.
Sweet. I mean, yeah, I guess that is kind of the thing. Is Miles Davis is like, well, whoever played with Miles Davis must be pretty good, but probably a lot of people don't know the people associated with him.
Uh, yep, that is like more people probably know his name, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely anybody who did play with him. They always bring it up
Oh yeah, which
for a
makes
reason.
sense. Um, we'll go with another new release. New album came out from the Chemical Brothers called "For That Beautiful Feeling." They've always been one of my favorite like electronic DJ duos. Have you ever listened to them much?
Yeah, I feel like I've heard at least some of their music. I don't throw it on myself, but I just never really think about them.
Sure. I think you got to be pretty into that. I don't know if it's technically rave electronica, but it's like definitely something where it's setting a vibe. Maybe you took some ecstasy or something and you're dancing around your house or something. Like it's very gradual builds, techno-y, but not straight up like you know, like it's a little more elaborate and layered. I would say more like a DJ Shadow, stuff like that. Um,
Nice.
you know, every album they put out, there's some songs on each album that are pretty good, and then some that I'm like, meh. And a lot of my favorite stuff from them is getting kind of old. And they always like have pretty good singles. And the other thing I would point out is really good music videos. Um, Michael Gondry, who was a guy that did stuff for Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and The Science of Sleep, movies like that. Like he would do music videos for him, which are just like hyper creative music videos. Do you remember the Salmon song? I think I probably made you listen to that once. It's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
some
that
kid
sounds
looking into
familiar.
the aquarium and Fat Lip from Far Side's on it. And he's like just a talking fish rapping at him.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's part of what makes them work is they got a little bit of that tongue in cheek energy. They are like more humorous. Uh, but that being said, this new album, For That Beautiful Feeling, I threw it on while I was showering and shaving my head and doing all that business, and it was a good groove. I think in some ways it's a bit of a throwback album in a way. It has like some old elements to some of that dance electronic DJ stuff, and in that way, like if you're looking for something new, I don't think you're gonna find it here. It is like I think that is the energy of it. Is a throwback, almost like '90s rave type album.
Uh-huh.
And that being said, though, it does have its new elements and refined things to that type of music that goes on today. And so it's like almost like when a old rapper puts out like an old school boom bap album. It just feels good. And
Yeah.
so beyond that, if you just need some good background stuff like cleaning the house, or yeah, you want to do a bunch of drugs, I would say listen to this album. You got
There you
another
go.
new release for me?
Yeah, let me make sure I'm looking at the right one. Where'd it go? Yeah, Hola J-Lo. I don't know how to say it. It's G-J right in a row. I don't know what sound that makes.
Giello?
Giello.
Giello. I think that's Italian.
Yeah, that's what I'm guessing. And
Because there's a
oh
director
wait,
like Giallo. It's similar.
the
That's what I'm
choir
thinking.
of Royal Holloway. So wherever that is.
Oh. Okay. I found
Might be
him, but not that.
Iceland. Huh. Yeah,
Hola, Giallo. And the what?
it's his latest album. It's called Dreamweaver. That is the name of the album. It's like it's under him, but he used the choir of Royal Holloway on his album. So
Okay.
yeah, So the album is Dreamweaver, and this is like total like I don't know if I'd put it all the way down into like sleep music because it like does have some builds to some pretty big moments, but it's like total relax like piano and choir,
Mm-hmm.
but you can't like you know can't understand what they're saying. It's just kind of nice sounding.
Well, I mean, it is
Very
called Dreamweaver, so there
yeah.
is that.
So yeah, it's definitely a chill out album. Nice soundscapes, but it just popped up randomly, and I was like, huh, this sounds cool. So yeah, winding down. That might be a good one to throw on.
Is that a new release? That's like pretty brand new.
Yeah, I think it
Just
just came
making
out like
sure. Okay.
a couple of days ago. Yeah.
Um. Yeah, I would say like with lately I've been listening to jazz for sleep playlist or ambient for
Hmm.
sleep playlist, and it's pretty difficult to find like people make those playlists for sleep and everything, and they're like, no, this has too much of a propulsive beat to it. It keeps me awake. Or yeah, like it has
Yeah.
like a build that's like, yeah, it's gonna wake me up. Like, stop it. And maybe
Yep.
this stuff, like when you were talking about it that way, it reminded me of like when I'd get home from school back in the day, and you're just exhausted. So you're like happy to be home, so you like get home, lay on your bed, throw on some music or something, and you're just kind of like relaxing for a second, and then you just pass out because the music is nice, but it is a little more lively. Maybe it's like
Yeah.
something like that, like afternoon nap stuff, or like maybe you could put it out and just lay on the couch, and maybe you fall asleep, maybe you don't, but it's like zen out a little bit.
Exactly. Yep.
I'll read his bio real quick. This is Ola Giello. He was born in Norway in 1978 and moved to the United States in 2001 to begin his composition studies at the Juilliard School in New York City, where he currently lives and works as a composer and pianist. Ola is an exclusive Decca Classics artist, and his Decca albums include Ola Giallo and Winter Songs, also featuring
Ooh,
Tenebrae, Voces 8, and the choir of Royal Holloway, as well as his solo piano albums Night and Dawn.
there you go.
Do you know much about the choir of Royal Holloway?
No, I don't know. That's I'm sure it's just you know, an old choir.
Well, it would be nice to know a bit more. Like there's the London Symphony that always did the John Williams film stuff and like Star Wars.
Yeah. And yeah,
Um,
Devon went to Prague and had their national symphony and choir on deconstruction.
there you go.
That's one of my favorite videos of all time is they zoom in on this old cellist and he just looks like pissed off. Like
Yeah,
he
there
is
you go.
not happy playing and then it pans to the sheet music and it's the mighty masturbator and he's just like "Arr."
Nice. Yeah. And then there's of course the Mormon Tabernacle Choir.
Yeah. Meh.
There's the choir of Royal Holloway is unique in the UK as the only collegiate choir with a weekly program of services and concerts, and is considered to be one of the finest mixed voice collegiate choirs in Britain. The choir
Nice.
gives 50 plus concerts a year with a particular specialism in collaborating with living composers. The choir has collaborated, performed, and recorded with many prestigious ensembles, including the King's Singers, BBC Singers, London Mozart Players, Tallinn Chamber Orchestra, Ani's Brass, Fretwork, etc.
Yep.
etc.
I heard the King Singers. They're really good when I was in England. That's another famous choir from an old college. And now they just like get kids singing really young and then they just get kicked out, but instead of castrating them. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Speaking of castrating children, a total segue. Apparently, it was the Mormon. I love that I'm forgetting some of this stuff. Conference. It was either
It
last.
was.
Yeah, and
The roads were empty. It was awesome.
yeah, and Mormon Tabernacle Choir, all that. Um, it was interesting because I followed the ex-Mormon subreddit on Reddit, and we've had this conversation before, so not to get too long-winded, but for me, I think I processed a lot of like the emotions and hurt of leaving all that pretty, like intensely when I was a teenager because that was all tied up in getting in trouble for marijuana and getting arrested and yada yada yada. So like I just fought tooth and nail about it with my parents, and then I turned 18, and then it kind of turned into like, yeah, that's all silly, and I don't care, and like if we're gonna be cool as a family, we're gonna be cool, and just but if not, like just don't talk to me about that shit anymore. I want to forget it. And so when I read the ex Mormon thing, like obviously there's plenty of people that are really still affected by it, and I sympathize. Like some people can't let go of that stuff so easily. And that's understandable and part of what makes it fucked up to ingrain your children with these guilt systems and all that. And once again, trying to not get long winded with it, but when I was in there, a bunch of people were talking about how during this particular conference, it was like kind of a what they call shelf breaking. So whenever you get a bit of information that like makes it not make sense, like your shelf breaks, and it just like none of it makes
Ah,
sense anymore.
yeah.
So a bunch of people were getting in and talking about stuff that happened in conference where they were like doubling down on the if you let a family member leave, like you're in trouble with your positioning in
Oh,
heaven and blah blah
wow.
blah. Like that stuff that we know is always there, but they were just like really upping the guilt on letting your family members leave, and also you might be in trouble if you don't get them back, and also the usual women are supposed to do this and listen to their man, and
Yeah.
and I'm only like paraphrasing from stuff I read on the internet, and I'm sure a Mormon listener might listen to this like, well, that's not actually what they said, what they meant to say, blah blah blah. Like, but it was kind of fascinating that it's like, oh, they're sounding kind of desperate, and it was interesting that these people that were married, and one of the one of the people in the marriage had already left. That some of their spouses were coming home and being like, I don't, I feel kind of wrong after listening to that, or I don't know if
Yeah.
I can agree with that. And it's like, why did I bring this up? Mormon Tabernacle Choir, and I just wanted to talk about it, and that's that.
There you go. Well, it's true. And, I heard they like were like, do not take any, don't listen to anybody who's not a believer, which is like cult 101
Yeah,
people. Like, if you
yeah.
didn't notice before, now they're just, that's like not, that's literally what they say. That's how you know.
Well, and not to make excuses here, but having lived in China for a year, lived in Florida for a year, up in Seattle, the ideologies and beliefs, like, people get culty really easily.
Yep.
They'll just fucking buy in tooth and nail if it, like, it, I do think it attaches to, like, the primatology stuff we've talked about before, where in a way, it's like, if it gives a sense of security and, like, I know what we're doing, follow me, then like most human beings instinctually almost will be like, okay, yeah, that's what I am. I'm team red, and I don't drink, and I do this, and I don't do that, and I do okay, thank you. Now I just need to reproduce and have kids, and whatever. And yeah, it's like a lot of my friends are artists, musicians, or people that have done drugs or still do them, and they tend to be people that are like, nah, let's poke at that, let's question things and wonder about it. And so, yeah, it is interesting. The more I interact with a lot of people, it's just like, oh, yeah, you don't poke or look at any of this that deeply, do you? Like, It's just like, nope, I'm trying to feel comfortable and get through life and, be happy. And it's like, on a certain level, you can kind of respect that. But,
Yep.
and I don't know. I know I'm being disrespectful when I say this, and I'm not trying to be, but at the same time, it kind of is. But it's just like, when people are like, you don't understand how deeply I believe in this religion and how much I feel the truth and the love of God around my heart. And yeah, I'm just kind of like, body chemicals are weird. I suggest doing mushrooms
Yeah.
sometime and then come back to that.
Yeah, exactly.
See if you trust it's the Holy Ghost or if it's just like, oh, holy shit, okay. Maybe there's
Right?
a God, maybe there isn't, but shit's fucking wacky out there.
You ate too spicy food or something. You had a premonition.
Yeah.
Be all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the one dude, Joe, I think he maybe wandered into the forest and maybe ate some mushrooms or some old bread. Saw saw the Holy Trinity or whatever. But he didn't see it until he was like being attacked by Satan, right? Wasn't that how the story goes?
I don't know. It was all
There's like
the
a
false
darkness around his
churches
heart, and then it's like, oh, then there's God.
because he knew none of the churches were right, and because they didn't charge enough, and he knew he could make one that charged made more money.
Anyway, we won't. I could have sworn there was some part where it's like right before he sees him, there's like the most dark feeling where he knew like Satan was trying to influence him right at that moment, and then God shows up, and it's just like
Yeah, that sounds right.
I was like, yeah, I've had trips like that before.
Yep.
Take too many mushrooms, and you're like, oh my
You're about
God, I'm about
to,
to
you're about,
die.
and then all of a sudden everything's okay.
Yeah, all the demons show up and they're dancing around you, poking, and then you're like, oh God. And then you just go on a little bit of a walk, wander into a meadow, and everything's purple and blue, shimmering deliciousness.
Yeah,
Like, oh, I guess it's okay.
imagine.
Do I believe in God? Is there one? Isn't there one? I don't know.
Eat this.
It's just like, it just melts away. And I mean, I don't even, not even saying that has to be mushrooms. I say reading all kinds of content, all kinds of books, watch a bunch of movies, listen to all kinds of music, that's cultiness starts to kind of melt away. It kind of like what you were saying is it's just like don't listen to anybody that isn't exactly this. And
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
you run into that in music too, like people that only listen to bluegrass or people that only listen to rap or people that only listen to metal. You're like it's a
Yep.
little culty. You notice how you're wearing the same
Dude.
hat as all the other metalheads? So you should listen to more stuff. And then when you do, you're like, hey, I'm still a metalhead, all right. But yeah, I listen to Sinead O'Connor. I was like, okay,
Nothing
yeah.
wrong with that.
Now
Yep.
you're becoming an individual rather than a number in a
Exactly.
congregation. Anyway, that was
Yep.
a fun tangent.
Motab.
Stop going to church. Okay, anyway,
Uh,
I bet my family's super proud of me. Hi, if
well,
any of you are listening.
uh,
Got any other new releases to mention?
one last one is just kind of just struck me as funny.
Yeah.
It's not bad at all. It's just the one song on it cracks me up. So it's by Bob James, who's an old smooth jazz pianist.
Yeah.
Now, some of the albums he's been on, I would say, are not smooth jazz. He's done some pretty cool stuff. Let's see. Yeah, so he was on that album I talked about, I think maybe last time, The Cool, with the cucumbers on it. He was the pianist on that. And
Mm,
he's awesome. He's a very tasty player. Um, just more in that realm.
sure.
Uh, he came out with an album called Jazz Hands, which the
Oh.
title track is has a guest vocalist that I haven't heard from in a minute, CeeLo. So,
CeeLo the
and
singer?
yeah, CeeLo Green is
Yeah.
singing the song Jazz Hands, and it's about touching somebody with your jazz hands, and it's really weird.
Huh.
The rest of the album's instrumental, and it's great.
There you go. Sweet. So check that one out. I won't bother looking at the bio for that one. Just I wasn't
Yeah,
quite right on top of it.
good.
Um, I will say I'm trying to. I've had a new roommate move in who's into underground hip hop. He's very into it, and so he's been showing me some stuff, and I do enjoy it. But I got to admit that lately I've just not been feeling hip hop and rap. I know it'll come
Yeah.
back around. It always does,
Mhm.
but like we've really just not been in the mood for it. And I think definitely more in the context of rap, not really the underground hip hop. Like the more braggadocious, like I'm the best, I'm better than you. Look at all this awesome shit I have. Has just not been speaking to me. Maybe it's because I've been poor and job hunting and struggling to succeed in my own art, and so somebody being braggadocious about something that's pretty mediocre just doesn't speak to me.
Yep.
So I know there's like some really good rap coming out. I hear that the new Nas albums are interesting because that's one of the better rappers in history, and he just released something that's him reflecting on being a 50-year-old that's a rapper that's still rapping. I hear it's really good, so I haven't listened to it yet, but I'll throw that out there. But I mean, I tried to listen to the new Doja Cat, which is part of this boss girl energy rap stuff that's been popular lately, like the Megan the Stallion and Cardi B's. And while I think it's produced nicely and she has a nice, palatable flow, like I just can't relate to it. And it's, it's, you know as well as I do, like you and me don't share a lot of the same tastes. But
Yep.
it's it's like, yeah, this isn't for me. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just like, okay. But yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking for different stuff. And so I would say if you're into that stuff, it was probably a solid release, but I only got in a couple songs and I was just like, I'm tired of this stuff. And
Gotcha.
listened to the new Killer Mike and it was a similar feeling. Like, I respect Killer Mike, but I prefer him with LP and Run the Jewels. His solo record just it's like I imagine this is well put together, but the beats and the music aren't doing anything for me, and
Mm.
the rhymes. Like I'm always, I guess that's another caveat is I don't really care about the lyrics that much. Like I care more about the melodious nature of your voice and how precise the what's the word I'm looking for? If all the syllables fit into the measure.
Like the syncopation and stuff,
Yeah.
all that. Yeah.
Yeah, like the rappers that like try to jam a bunch of fucking words into a measure and it just sounds like they're trying to catch up with the beat.
Yep.
And you're like, eh. And like Eminem started doing that. And what he's doing is amazing and impressive, but he started rapping so fast and like trying to like fit everything in that it's like it lost its flow, in
Mhm.
my opinion. But so yeah, not to also go on a tangent of bitching about rap music. I definitely love it and still like it, but I've very much been in a listening to UK rock and roll from like the 70s and 80s. I think that's kind of
Yeah.
been my sweet spot lately. Just oh, I never really listened to this. I never really listened to the Replacements or the Clash, and just I've been really happy there.
That's some good
Um,
stuff.
yeah. So with that being said, I guess we'll transition from new release stuff. We'll be a little more. We'll have more to offer. I think when we review October, we'll be more conscientious of new releases and digesting them. I think, but. Yeah, what
Indeed.
have you just been listening to in general? What's been your vibe as of September?
Let's see. Let me go up, pull this thing out. I've been in a um digging the like little weird instrumental soundscape stuff a little bit. It seems like so. Like I
Yeah.
was like thinking that Dreamweaver,
Hmm.
the Mutiny on the Star Barge has been coming back again.
Yeah, Westmoreland. If
Yeah,
yeah, he might have a fucking thing with you. If you're like Limp Bizkit, just go listen to his solo stuff. It's very different.
yep,
You can
very
tell it's
cool.
him, but it's not even really heavy. If you want a little tinge of heaviness, do Eat the Day. If you want silly heaviness with like a little bit of ween energy, do Big Dumb Face.
Yep. Yeah, I've been pulling out the Herb Alpert reimagines the Tijuana Brass. I used to listen to that one a lot, and it's re-entered my stream. That one's like kind of took all those old hits. Herb
Yeah,
Alpert, like you know his songs, you've heard them,
yeah.
but you like somebody they just went back and kind of put some different hip hop beats and stuff kind of behind them. There, it's really cool.
Okay. Apparently, I, if I remember correctly, my mom's dad, my grandpa, um, he liked the Tijuana Brass. I remember my
Nice.
mom talking about that a little bit, like, oh, like that's
Yeah.
like exotic or something. Yeah. Anything else on that? Or just
And
pretty much the vibe.
yeah, that's close to one last one that came back that's been fun is the For All I Care by the Bad Plus, which is an old piano trio, piano, bass, drums, and vocals, and it's like a bunch of cool covers like Lithium, Comfortably Numb, Radio Cure,
Mm-hmm.
How Deep Is Your Love, Barracuda, but it's like, a jazz trio doing the music. And yeah, they're really cool. Their version of Comfortably Numb is really sweet.
Nice.
Yeah.
I was listening to. I think I might have sent you this album, the album Zanika by Jane,
Hmm.
and it has a song that you've probably heard all over the place over the last couple of years called Makiba. It's like, hey, hey, Makiba, it's a man, this so long. Let me get a
Yeah.
ooh. That thing.
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
Yeah, that, I've really been into that album. Um, it's just got it's got a lot of African rhythms to it. It's just solid bass lines and good beats. And then she's got a nice voice. It's, not an amazing singer. It's just, it fits the vibe of the album. It's just kind of nice. It's one that, yeah, smoke a little bit of weed and go on a walk. It's nice. uh,
Nice.
doing a lot. I've been falling in love with a record I always loved, but I've just been kind of coming back to it hard, which is the album "Some Great Reward" by Depeche Mode. It's just they, um, to simplify it, they would get weird little noises like from all over and program them into their keyboard setup or whatever. So it's a shit ton of samples essentially, and it's like early days of that. So whereas they've made other amazing albums that started to integrate live drums and guitar and everything, this is just a pure sampled beat keyboard 80s record, but it's like so the songwriting in it is so great, and it's just lively and really gets you going. So listen to Some Great Reward by Depeche Mode. And another band I've been trying to digest more of is Susie and the Banshees. Been really loving that again, but I've been kind of in love with that for the last few years. But oddly enough, kind of when I find these bands like XTC or Susie and the Banshees, I get stuck on
Mhm.
an album or two and then don't like jump to the other ones. And so the goal is to go through their whole discography and kind of embrace all that. So yeah, kind of like I was saying, a lot of 70s and 80s. That's still kind of my zone lately. And then, yeah, I guess kind of throwing in a little more of these sort of poppy, but more alternative pop um, records that have good rhythm sections. Mm, yeah.
Yeah,
And then, yeah, sort of the ambient, sleepy jazz stuff. And
indeed.
electronic. And, oh, there's a playlist I would recommend on Spotify. Maybe you have it on. What do you use again?
Called Title.
Title, right? Um, I think it's called Congregational Ambience. Yeah,
Congregational.
Congregational Ambient. And it's just like, yeah, for when you're having a get together, just people are like having some drinks or hanging out. I just throw that on while I'm like cooking or something. It's nice. And I've also fallen back in love with the weird fucking album by Jean Jacques Perry, Moog Indigo. So it's just like all the Moog keyboard. Um,
Oh, yeah.
let's do a quick bio of him. I don't know anything about him. It was a good time. Um, Recording both as a solo artist and in collaboration with Gershon Kingsley, Jean-Jacques Perry helped popularize electronic music with a series of albums in the 1960s that used Moog synthesizers, the Ondeolin. Ondeolin? Is that right? Do you know what that
Oh,
is?
no, I don't. I'm not ringing a bell.
And magnetic tape. His work was never intended to be part of the avant garde, as Perry himself cheerfully declared in his linear notes. His goal was to popularize electronic music by deploying it in happy, simple tunes and arrangements. That's why his music falls for closer to easy listening, space age pop than any sort of cutting edge. And that is also why his music sounds more nostalgic than futuristic.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good summation. There's a lot more here, but yeah, it is very silly and weird. It's definitely got that what people in the 60s thought the future was going to be kind of vibe.
Nice.
And you might have seen a video going around. This is for the listener as well. Um, there's a song called Gossipo Perpetuo, and some random internet guys made a bizarre video of like a baby doll head with a plant pot over it, like a helmet. So there's like a plant coming out of the doll baby head, and it's just on this like little robot body, and the mouth moves to the song. So look up
Oh,
Gossipo Perpetuo baby head or something like that, and you'll see a very weird video. I'll show it
oh
to you
my
after
God.
this episode.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah. With that, how much time we got? Let's do a couple quick shout outs to those that passed away in September. I believe Sinead O'Connor passed away.
Indeed.
Rest in peace. Amazing singer. Very, had a lot of, I want to put it like, she had a rough life in her own head, from what I understand. And
Yep.
that's unfortunate. And, that's one of those things where if you're dealing with anything like that, make sure you talk to somebody. And it's we're all in this together, and we all got shit to work out in our own brains. So I wish
Yep.
we would have had her around longer. I really love her album of reggae covers. It's really hard to find. One of these days when I have more money to throw around, I'm gonna go find a vinyl of that, or maybe just even the CD. But you can listen to it on YouTube.
Nice. I'll have to
Um,
check that out.
Tony Bennett passed away.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Classy guy, nothing I loved, but he's definitely iconic.
Yeah, good singer, crooner style. Yeah.
Yep. I guess Rodriguez passed away. Do you remember that guy?
No, I didn't hear about that.
He's the dude that recorded some albums in like the Motown Detroit kind of area, and just nothing really
Oh,
came of it. And then I think
gotcha.
he ended up not making any money and just being really down and out. But then his albums kind of blew up in South America, like huge.
Okay.
And I think there's a documentary on him, maybe on Netflix. But yeah, and
Okay,
he,
yeah, I remember hearing about this.
and it's like 1970s kind of singer songwritery stuff, almost like Bread or America,
Gotcha.
like Horse with No Name kind of vibe. But he does have like an interesting way of putting his lyrics together. And yeah, I would
Oh,
recommend
cool.
listening to him. So rest in peace to that guy. Um, I posted a uh, image of like people that have passed away in September, and some of these I'm not totally sure what they mean. They like put combustible Edisons. Have you ever heard of them?
Uh-uh.
They do a weird like they're almost like B-52s,
Oh.
psychedelic lounge music, and it's like it is very like kind of silly in a way. Their music was used in some video games and in the movie Four Rooms. So there's
Oh,
a
gotcha.
song by them that if you heard it, you're like, oh man, I've heard that before. Um, yeah, I don't know, but they're just saying the band passed away. I'm not sure what they mean by
Uh,
that. Like,
interesting.
uh,
They broke up. Damn.
band ended in 1999 though, so maybe just a member passed away or something. Sorry for not knowing more, and this is why I'll be a little more researched for next month. But yeah, with
Yeah.
that,
And
um,
Jimmy Buffett.
oh, was that last month? Why isn't that on there?
I think it was.
Yeah,
Pretty sure.
yeah, Sinead O'Connor died before him, so
Yeah.
yeah, rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. Got anything to say on him?
Well, if you don't like Jimmy Buffett, you listen to the wrong songs. Just gotta keep listening. You'll find one you like. If you like, if you like any kind of singer-songwriter music, Jimmy Buffett should be on the list too. He's awesome, and it's not because of Margaritaville.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think there's been a lot of like podcasts that went over it and some ink spilled on it, but wasn't it like Margaritaville's like on his fifth album or even like further along than that? Like he'd been kind of grinding for a while.
Yeah,
He
for
didn't
sure.
really hit it until later.
And then he never like agreed to corporate. Like he never gave his music to anybody. He just was like, I'm going to do it myself. And so
Yeah.
it's kind of awesome that he was able to build a giant empire.
Yeah. I need. What's your favorite Jimmy Buffett album? Maybe you should send that my way. I'll try to consume it a bit more.
Yeah, I'll have to look through. I've never listened to him like by album actually. The reason I like Jimmy Buffett is because I got a new car that came with satellite radio, and I put on Radio Margaritaville, and it
Yeah.
played a bunch of his hits, and it also played a lot of live concerts, which is really awesome. So
Okay.
yeah, it was just cool to listen to him kind of like that. So that's actually what I'd recommend doing. I'd go pull up like one of his classic concerts on YouTube and just watch one of those.
Okay. I'll read this meme that I posted the day he passed away. It shows a picture of Tony Soprano. And so I'll do my best Tony Soprano. He's like, he created Margaritaville is what he did. He coined the phrases 5 o'clock somewhere and cheeseburger in paradise. Single-handed. He was a brave American singer-songwriter who pioneered the island escapism lifestyle. And in this house, Jimmy Buffett is a hero. End of story.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
He did. He kind of had his own whole own style. He made his whole own empire of everything
Yeah.
related to getting drunk early. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It's like right as I start getting into them, I'm gonna take a year off drinking. Like, damn it. um, which yeah, that doesn't start till 2024, so I still got some time.
Get some margaritas on, dude.
Oh yeah. Maybe you heard of this. I don't know the guy, but I did post it on our Jacob Wayne Show Facebook page. Richard Davis, virtuosic bass titan, dead at 93. Do you know Richard Davis?
Huh, no, I haven't heard of that name.
Richard Davis cited one artist in particular for this inspiration, Duke Ellington.
Huh.
Um, so I guess, yeah, bass maestro, jazz bassist. So Richard Davis. Maybe we gotta check out some of his stuff.
I'm gonna have to look up what albums he was on, because that's the thing where I might know the album he was on. I just didn't know he was the bassist on it. If he's a jazz guy,
Sure.
they get plopped under the leader's
Yeah,
name, you know.
indeed. So yeah, Richard Davis. Check him out. Um, Normally, right around here, we would do some music news, but we have gone over a bit. But I will point out, as I was the two music sites I check for news these days. Maybe you have something different, and I think I need to find a different website or something. Is like check blabbermouth.net for like rock and roll news, because Pitchfork just doesn't cover that. And then Pitchfork, which is all the indie stuff and pop, like underground pop stuff. And like I'm scrolling through, and on Blabbermouth, the top stories are Disturbed's David Draymond explains how he got his dog back. Okay. And Ozzy's going to try Tai Chi. So there's the state of rock and roll for you.
There you go.
Pitchfork going on there. Grimes sues Elon Musk over parental rights. Who saw that coming? King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard are going to release a new album. What? Yeah, that's all we got.
There we go.
I'm sure I could dive deeper, but we'll just go with that for the news this month. Uh, with that, this is good. I think we got a good old musical episode done.
Indeed.
We've been talking about doing an old school episode. I'm not sure if we'll do that this month or in the future, but we will. We'll do one of those in the not too distant future. So, what I would say near the tail end, if you have made it this long into the episode, write us at the Jacob Wayne Show at gmail.com. Like I said, Kelin and I have pretty different tastes, and so we recommend different stuff. If there's new releases or new albums coming out that you think we're ignoring or you think we should listen to, write us and let us know, and we'll give it a listen and give you our honest opinion. And also for the show
Yeah.
where we maybe bring back some old school stuff, go ahead and write us a Dear Jacob Wayne thing or send us a news article you'd like us to react to. Opinion on a thing in the news. Anything like that. We'd be happy to do so. Otherwise, we're just going to compile and offer what we can do off the top of our head and what we're personally into. And maybe that's all you want. But you can even let us know how much you love us by writing us at thejacobwayneshow at gmail.com. With that,
Indeed.
that is the end of episode 102. You
Boom.
have a good one, Kelin.
See you later.
Ta-ta! Thank you for listening to The Jacob Wayne Show. If you would like to contact us, please write us at fogkoshka at gmail.com. That is FAKOSHKA at gmail.com. You can find us on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Simply search The Jacob Wayne Show and it should pop right up. Make sure you like and subscribe and leave a review and share this podcast with your friends. Please write us. It helps add content to the show and makes the show even better for you, the listener. Thanks for tuning in.
Welcome to the Gello